I just wanted to, I mentioned at the start that, we really want this session to be really practical for us. And I just wanted to share with you just some of the things that I've been picking up from in and around Bristol and Swindon about ways that churches have been offering practical support. We would have just heard from Jessica how just some of the practical things that churches could do was such a blessing, both physically and emotionally. So I'm just going to run through a list. So this might be a moment where you might want to take notes of things that we're learning are really making a difference for Hong Kongers moving over. The first thing that we've noted is that the majority of Hong Kongers, if not all of them, check out church websites, particularly with the pandemic. They will use the internet to check out your church in the area that they are moving in. In Hong Kong, the churches are looked at favorably within society, probably more so than in our own country here. I can't stress this enough. So it's worth putting something on your website. And now you might say, well, there are no Chinese currently in my area. But we have to remember, particularly with the lessons we've learned from Windrush, for example, that welcome begins beforehand. A few churches have even had a dedicated page that says we're welcoming people from abroad, and they might have like a person that they can contact. Again, a physical person, a face that new migrants can say, oh, they've considered this in their church. There's someone I can contact. I highly recommend that. Patton Church in Swindon have been putting up signs, very simple, signs in Chinese saying welcome to church on their website, but also as they've begun to open up. Again, a really easy win, so to speak, an easy way to show people and communicate that we're thinking and praying for them, even if they haven't arrived yet. If you need help translating, I know the team from Bristol Chinese Church would be very happy to help. And in fact, the cathedral are in the process of having a lot of their materials translated so that when people go into the cathedral to check it out, they can see tracts and notices in Chinese, again, pointing them to the church, but also the Bristol and Avon Women's group for support. I think just having a look at some of the stats here, a recent poll by Nottingham University found that 62% of racist incidents experienced by East and Southeast Asian communities happen near their home. So in the neighborhoods in which they live. So again, for those of us operating in more of a parish context, really important that we missionally reach out to any people from Hong Kong we notice arriving in our neighborhoods. And what's really interesting in this survey that was done by the University of Nottingham, 73.8% of East Asians in the UK said that the number one thing they'd like to see changed is they'd like to see more East Asians, let me just read it to you, see their participation in politics, media, and all aspects of life. So this is basically representation. And so again, I would just say, as you seek to open up church again, think about ways in which you can include people of East Asian heritage in your leadership, in your programs. One thing that the Diocese of Durham have rolled out and implemented is that they're making IDE, that's inclusivity, diversity, and equality policies for their churches that their PCCs put together. So in Bristol, we know that eco church is a very important thing for us, and it's become almost like a standing agenda point in PCCs, hasn't it? And we've seen that it makes a difference. The same with safeguarding. And this again might be something you might want to consider, as we seek to welcome people, not just from Hong Kong, but other places, that perhaps a member of your congregation, carries the flag for EDI, so that welcome doesn't get left off the agenda, so that each month perhaps, they can feed back, were our sermons, inclusive? Did we remember to celebrate certain cultural events? Because the task force, the Church of England's anti-racism task force, one of the recommendations was, for us as churches to recognise the festival celebrated in the communities that we live in. So some more practical things that you can do there. But I think one of the key ones that came out from Jessica's sharing, and also Pastor Y, is the importance of recognising families. Pastor Martin mentioned the age range. it's mostly young families coming across and making decisions based on the welfare of the children, about the schools and the parks and so forth. And so really important, I think, as churches, that we inform our youth leaders. You might have a youth leader or a youth team. Show them the recording of a seminar later, get them thinking and reflecting with their teams about how they can reach out to Hong Kong communities. And wouldn't it be wonderful? Just imagine if a family from Hong Kong turned up to your church with a family, and someone on your team went up and said, we've been praying for you. We want to welcome you. But they're able to also really welcome the children and the youth. That would, I think, mean so much, as we've heard.